How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout, the show on YouTube where we talk about cryptocurrencies that you love and where you subscribe to hear us talk about those cryptocurrencies in the news. And of course, this is interesting. DigiByte founder has been warning us about Bitcoin's quote-unquote hashtag China kill switch for over 3 years. If China controls 70% of BTC's network through centralized mining, this should be definitely taken seriously. And then he has a really interesting advertisement here. If you feel your funds aren't safe with Bitcoin, then you could move to DigiByte, and I think that's a funny suggestion right there. But I mean, it's an interesting segue into this conversation we're going to be going into about DigiByte and the differences and the competition that's really rising and heating up in that same token. Well, I always think that it's interesting to start these videos off by looking at what the news has to say about these different crypto, where DigiByte is essentially getting their publicity from, because when we talk about the competition as far as brand recognition goes between DigiByte, which is faster than Bitcoin, however, Bitcoin has still managed to establish itself as the household name of cryptos. This is going to be really pivotal as we see DigiByte hits 11% growth in 5 minutes. Good publicity or P&D question mark. So I mean, obviously I don't really love looking at all these different crypto news for the most part. I take the news with a grain of salt for the most part. I like to do my own research, but it is interesting. I mean, this DigiByte price surges as DGB enters crypto market cap of top. It's also interesting to see this little spike here that recently happened for DigiByte, because most of the cryptos that took this plummet during this recent sort of purge that we were seeing, most of the ones that realized that sort of divot haven't actually even had any of those spikes up of attempted recovery even. So the way that these different technologies act during times of hardship are definitely an indication of the bones behind the technology. I mean, obviously seeing the market cap dropping from 220 to 200 recently in the past week, and how the residual effects have echoed and sort of been amplified by various different things that have been happening involving these different cryptos. Just quick going over it now. Obviously BTC dominance at 54% and steadily rising up still, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything in particular, I would say, at this juncture reflected upon Bitcoin. Some people were thinking positively, but I would just say that people are running away from the what's happening right now with a lot of the altcoins and moving themselves up to what they perceive to be greener pastures. They go to the top, trying to basically associate themselves with the crypto that has the better brand recognition at the end of the day, which is also a great segue into the next topic that I really wanted to talk about, which was brand recognition. Realistically, I wanted to talk about how Bitcoin's had a great marketing campaign for itself up until this point. We've definitely seen Bitcoin establish itself as a household name across the board. People's grandparents know what Bitcoin, and not necessarily saying that people of that basically middle America bend are using Bitcoin. People pretty much aren't using Bitcoin to buy Starbucks, aren't using it to buy at McDonald's. They're using cash. They're using USD to buy these things in these regular transactions. It's still basically the yen, the peso, the United States dollar, the ruble. All these different things are still have that sort of normal everyday movement of currency, and they have sort of that same stranglehold on that market. And at that same time, it's going to take more people using smartphones, more people basically getting online, which is something that we're seeing happening in countries like India and of course China, where there's more and more people using the internet this year than the years prior, and it's happening all the way across all the way across the surface of the earth. In every country, there's more people on average using new smart technologies coming out, all these various different things being created by Amazon, the Amazon Echo, all these different products that essentially are interfacing smart technology into the back background of everyday life, the rudiments of that sort of the Internet of Things, and basically the launch of the AI future that we're witnessing. So when we talk about DigiByte and their the way that they've branded themselves, and how this relates to what we were talking about just now about Bitcoin and how they've established themselves as a household name, realistically, I'd say, I mean, we talk about this all the time on this channel because DigiByte's faster than Bitcoin, it's faster than Litecoin, it's got a blockchain that's got a great history behind it, and it's well spread across a lot of the world. But realistically, what really catches my attention when it comes to DigiByte is the conversation about security. And we talk about this in plenty of videos as well, the fact that DigiByte has really positioned themselves in an interesting way, because I would say that the way that DigiByte's aligning themselves with security is essentially going to be a huge variable as we see things getting up and running. In particular, we see Facebook and all these other platforms, these social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook, running into problems because they focus on their methodology of functioning is realistically flawed, due to the fact that they're more centralized, and it's going to take that decentralized aspect to really move us forward into the next paradigm of the internet. And I think that that's why the DigiByte awareness team is really doing a great job, all the way across the board on Twitter. There's definitely a really great community of people who are interested in DigiByte and giving it the attention that it deserves. But there's always work to be done, because we don't want to see great technologies like DigiByte getting eclipsed by basically because Bitcoin and all these others essentially do have a lot of money to pump into their marketing and so forth. I mean, realistically, we've seen it happen before with Nikola Tesla and his technology, and then Edison and the light bulb. And realistically, it turns out to be that it's the companies that not necessarily produce the best product, but the ones that are able to package it correctly and have that brand recognition. And realistically, it's advertising at the end of the day, as far as functionality and usage goes. But I'd say that the mark of the what's happening right now, what we're seeing and witnessing, as far as the paradigm shift of people going to actually start using these sorts of technologies in their day-to-day lives, I'd say that that's definitely something that's really working in our favor, because people are certainly, as far as speaking from the perspective of people who'd want to see, for fans of DigiByte, of course, and I consider myself a fan of DigiByte. I mean, obviously, I know that there's people out there who have all sorts of different opinions, but if you're a fan, this works for any other altcoin too, this sort of model that I want to illustrate here, and it's the fact that as people start to actually use these cryptocurrencies, and we actually witness crypto replacing fiat in a lot of different instances, it's definitely, we're witnessing the rudiments of the digital smart economy, and certainly a large aspect of multiple variables in society being moved to cyberspace as well. And not ignoring that in the slightest. The fact of the matter is that it is a great opportunity to educate the public and as to the fact of the functionality of what these altcoins are actually bringing to the table, and why it's definitely worth your attention, doing your research on these different things. And certainly, I mean, I've been involved with paying attention to the development of this space for quite some time now, just seeing all the different changes that have happened. It's really eye-opening to see how this space is managed. I mean, this tweet right here was actually really interesting as well, just demonstrating the speed that we're talking about when we are looking into DigiByte and all these different variables. And certainly DigiByte's one of those cryptos that's really blending the interface between all these different things, and super fast internet connection, all these different things are going to be really big. I mean, let's trade DigiByte on Coinbase. This would be, I really think that this was huge when I saw that. I mean, this was a really interesting tweet, worthy of a retweet. And I'd definitely say Coinbase is certainly a huge frontier when it comes to moving forward and seeing our cryptos getting that limelight in the front and center where it deserves. And this really ties everything together with what we've been talking about how the branding of Bitcoin and all these things, because Coinbase makes it really easy for people to get get introduced to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and all these others, Litecoin, that are available on Coinbase. But I think putting DigiByte right alongside it would really be a huge forward momentum, especially because people who get involved with getting introduced to cryptocurrency or really just getting their foot in the door aren't necessarily used to using like exchanges, for example, like Binance and all these other ones that might be a little bit more complicated. But realistically, we're witnessing a huge paradigm shift happening as the DigiByte really takes this next step forward. So really, if I could send one message to the DigiByte awareness team, it would definitely be that advocating for our technology being put on Coinbase would really be a huge movement forward. Big forward moving momentum as far as these things go, and especially at this pivotal turning point. So I'm definitely excited to be seeing how these things are going to be moving forward and so forth. So all that being said, I hope that you have all enjoyed this video, and then of course if you're interested in connecting with us on Twitter, you can do so. Our Twitter is at CryptoTuber, always available on Twitter for anybody who's interested. And also make sure that you subscribe to the channel and include down in the comments below your opinion on DigiByte. Obviously this video is just my opinion. Now I'm not your dad, of course. This video is not advice by any means, but to the same extent, it's definitely, the technology is there. So but I mean, it speaks for itself, is what I mean by saying that. But yeah, of course, just remember, do your own research. My perspective always comes from sort of a data analytical perspective, but we were seeing this interesting article earlier that was talking about how China, quote unquote, has the power to destroy Bitcoin. And even if China does have the power to do so, I mean, I'd say let them. If that's, I don't think it's likely, but I mean, it's interesting. DigiByte founder has been warning about Bitcoin and China kill switch over 3 years. If China controls 70% of Bitcoin's network through centralized mining, this should be taken seriously, and I would definitely say so. I mean, if you feel your funds aren't safe, then he says move to DigiByte, which is a funny advertising suggestion, but definitely something worth noting, because the technology is not going to go away. It's really just going to be a sad day when and if this sort of thing happens. But I mean, it is interesting to see how these different functionalities have been happening behind the scenes. All that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure that you follow us on Snapchat, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.